This is the Simpit. I'm your host, Sean Cole, and welcome to today's edition of the Pit Stop, where you are the real star of today's show, because we're here to once again chat about sim racing news. And I noticed we've really kicked up not only the news, but the stories relevant to us sim racers, and had some really good conversation, because the times are changing. And, you know, we could look at this all as just as simple as, oh, what's coming out? What's the next mod, track, car, wheel? But it goes way beyond that, and I think we're all starting to learn that. We're talking about operating systems, we're talking about VR, we're talking about threats to our chipsets and things that go way beyond net neutrality and eSport. So the show is really starting to take shape as more than just telling you the direct sim news, but what's really going on in the gaming industry and how it affects us. So, anyway, it's my pleasure to bring you the Pit Stop each and every day. I have a lot of fun doing it. I have a lot of fun hanging out and chatting with you guys. And one thing I've always said since starting the show is I've been doing this a long time, and I have very few sim racing friends that I get to just talk about without them looking at me like I'm an idiot. And it's great to be able to have and find all of you guys and be able to talk about this every day like it is the most important stuff in the world, which to all of us it very well could be. So, what's going on in sim racing today? Number one, I'm going to keep telling you about these because I think it matches the theme of the show between the content that Mitchie Hoyer is producing and our Attack the Tracks and everything we do to hopefully make you faster, better, have more fun on track. But Project Cars Insider Guides, Yorkie's out with another one. This time he's explaining the telemetry HUD and how it applies to your setup and your race strategies. So, if you're a Project Cars 2 racer, which I am definitely going to say you should be if you want to be on the competitive racing scene, as ironic as that statement is. And this gets back to a topic yesterday about where will that eSport level be? Is it going to be at the iRacing level? Is it going to be at the Project Cars level? Is it going to be at the Gran Turismo or even Mario Kart level? But right now, Project Cars 2 is kind of one of the leaders when it comes to the eSport scene. So if you want to make a living, be a professional in the world of simulation, it might come through Project Cars. So if you want to get ahead of the curve, you want to know every trick, go check out Yorkie's guide there for that one. Next up, Raceroom. Raceroom is adding Road America. So they talked about how they've been a little focused on European and Asian tracks, but it was time to get back to the USA, the good old USA. So we've driven this track recently in iRacing. We've driven this track recently in Assetto Corsa. It'll be very cool to see how it plays or drives in Raceroom. So I am working on, I might have an advanced copy, and later today we might actually be able to preview this track on the show. You just kind of stay tuned. I don't have a time yet on that. It's still in the works. I've been talking to them, but it looks like that's going to happen. Just going to take a little work to make it happen. So we'll be doing that later today. You'll get to be able to see Raceroom for the first time in at Road America. Next thing, Codemasters. They won an award for the TIGA Movement Best Racing Game Award for F1 2016. I don't know why this came up today, but here's a picture of that whole team. So when you guys wonder and think, how big is a company? How big are these sim companies? Now think Codemasters between Dirt, F1 2017, you know, you've got two legitimate separate titles, each with add-on development things that go on. It's not just the title. So this is, almost could be considered two teams in some ways, but Codemasters is definitely one of the biggest software companies. But this gives you an idea, and, you know, a while back they were hiring. You know, if you'd taken that job app and wanted to, you could have been in this photo. So, congratulations to them on winning the award. That's very cool as well. And that's why I want to show it, though, is because they won the award, but it also struck me that, wow, look at how big that company is. That's quite a few people. Also, look at this picture. What's with these weird dudes? And no offense to the weird dudes in the back, but these 5 guys that somehow found some elevated thing to stand on. Or are these all, like, 8'2" dudes? Which means they must have tall ceilings at Codemasters. The pit crew is bigger than that. I agree. We should challenge them to a brawl. Old school gang style fight. WRC 7. So if you're not able to make Monte Carlo, check out WRC All Live. They have that. and they're offering a 7-day free trial. So if you go to this, and again, all the links to all of these are at thesimpit.com. I'll cover that in just a second, but if you want to know, if you haven't tried it, I haven't tried it. I should get on a 7-day trial. I'm actually starting to get a little disappointed in them because I've reached out to them several times and I have not heard back. Don't know if they don't know me or if they just don't like me, or they're just that busy. I don't know. Next up, I told you, we're down to 3 days. Thrustmaster Rally event. They're just teasing it. You know, teases are dangerous. You got to come through with something good enough to match your tease. I learned that here on this show even. So 3 more days and we'll find out what Thrustmaster's got going on. Next up, this is actually kind of cool. Rickmotech has acquired Nicky Thiim. So Nicky Thiim is a sponsored Rickmotech sim racer. So this guy, talk about making it. Get paid for racing real cars. Get paid for racing the Sims. Do what you do. Do what you love all day, every day. And that's pretty amazing. When I hear these sponsorships, I wonder, is there any way that we see a Rickmotech sticker somewhere on his real car? Or I'm assuming this is more of an offline deal in personal life, not real life. I don't know how much control he has on what goes on the car. But congratulations to Rickmotech. Congratulations to Nicky. And, you know, he's one of those names who's become very iconic in sim racing. You know, for a guy who is a real-life pro, Nicky Thiim, thank you. But for a real-life pro to focus as much energy and time and true love to sim racing puts this guy right at my top heroes. Yeah, it is a dream life. Glenn says he's had their pedals for a while, and I'm sure he's happy with them. They're amazing, amazing pedals. So, congratulations to both parties there, and it'll be cool because that means that he will continue to promote and talk about sim racing. So, that's very cool. TTI Lemann, haven't heard back from these guys either. What's going on? Am I on some kind of a blacklist? I can't imagine I am, but it could happen. There are stranger things that have happened in the world. But they have another one of these 360 photos. And I wanted to pull it up mainly to look at the graphics. And one thing that I noticed when looking at it is I like these bushes on the side. So I know they're probably just bushes randomly placed and there's no thing. But I always like, when I drive iRacing, I'm like, wow, everywhere, all these tracks we go to are really manicured. And I suppose if you go to like Sonoma, Infineon, whatever they call it nowadays, Sears Point, Sonoma, you go there in the off season and it looks like not as good as it looks on NASCAR weekend. So anyway, I'm looking forward to this game. Still trying. March is the deadline, or the due date for it at this point. High speed motorcycle racing on the edge of control. I think that could be a lot of fun. It is the same company, Billy, and for some reason they are not answering or checking emails. You guys want to be cool. You guys want to be a real star of the show. Send emails to the guys at TTI Lemann saying, I will not buy your game unless I see it on the Simpit first. Now the Simpit army is working. So, next up, Project Cars eSport. So, this is a big thing. The British eSport Association announced the first details of its inaugural British eSport Championship aimed specifically at school and college students. We've been talking about that whole scholarship aspect of getting them while they're young. Soccer, football, stars. You know, football teams, Manchester United will find a kid 4 years old who's got YouTube fame playing soccer or football, and they will sign him to a long-term contract through his parents and take a gamble on his development and growth through life. This is kind of become the new thing in sports across the board, not just in football, but same thing here. They're going to start capturing them, and in gaming it's even more applicable, but they're looking for guys, you know, students between 12 and 19 years old to take place in this. So when I said earlier that Project Cars is sort of the leader in eSport right now, well, they have the biggest placement, the biggest prizes on a daily basis. Maybe not the biggest prize, but over across the board, they are the biggest esporting going on. And John says if you sim race in college, your raids slide down, he believes. That is a relevant point, depending on the time committed to it. You could argue that if they're an engineer, and I think that a lot of people with the aptitude for sim racing and gaming in general are engineer types, it might help you because you're going to learn some engineering skills. Grades and girls, though. Absolutely, John. WRC, we mentioned this a while ago. They had talked about their whole calendar for their esport going on. I want some of you guys to go have fun doing this. You know me. It's about getting on the track. I love talking news, but it's about getting on the track. But starting up on the 25th is when they are going to start this competition. So again, I don't even own WRC7. Thank you very much to these guys. I should stop showing them love. If they can't give me love, why am I giving them so much love? But no, get out there and give it a shot. See where you are on the board. See if you can get your way in. Rally racing's an open world, man. Anyone can win in rally. It is a skill set in its own. I think it's a hard skill set, not easy. But get in there. Yeah, Dennis, you should be doing it. Article here at tweaktown.com saying gaming industry to make $170 billion in 2018. I almost should have had an over-under guess thing for you guys to, like, how big do you think the gaming industry is? You know, and get guesses. But I don't know if I would have guessed $170 billion. So when we see things being gobbled up right now, game companies being bought by other game companies, esports being bought by other esports, drivers being bought by other teams, they're all doing it to get their piece of the $170 billion action. What did Billy say that was strange? I missed it. Oh, I'm sorry I missed that chat. Next up, I thought we would never... we showed a different version of one of these things on the show about a month ago. And we all kind of chuckled at it. And here we go. Another version. This is called the Yaw VR. Another salad bowl simulator. And this one looks a little bit more ready to go. They say it's about $1,000. They also did a crowdfunding version. But look at this little thing. You know, it's really simple in its design. You got 3 different motors and a bowl. It makes perfect sense. The only problem is it doesn't necessarily work great for sim racing. And look at the way that thing kind of snapped together. I'm not sure that would necessarily work. Well, this one doesn't have any kind of steering wheel. But I don't know. It could be pretty cool. This is the kind of one you actually could just put in your living room and do. Don't know what he's playing. Don't know what he's doing with it. And I'm sure it can't compare to a CXE or a Sim Experience or any of the quality purpose-built Sim, Visaro, D-Box, any of those. But it is inexpensive, and it looks like you can pull it apart and throw it in the closet, which I defy you to do with any other kind of motion sim. So, anyway, I just thought it was pretty funny, and it was worth the chuckle this morning, and so I hope you all enjoy it. Look, 2 kids can carry it. Does it get any easier than that? Anyway, just like all the other stories, if you want to check it out, I will have a link to this article in the description of the show at the Simpit, which I'll talk about in just one moment. Next up, this is at GT Planet, and this kind of blows my mind. December 2017 MPD sales results. Need for Speed Payback leads the way. So when you look at the highest ranking sim on sales for December, you come down to 15th place. There it is. Need for Speed Playback. Not Forza. Not Gran Turismo Sport. Not even Project Cars 2. It was Need for Speed Payback. You can make the argument that Grand Theft Auto in 10th could be considered to an extent a driving game. I go nutso driving in Gran Turismo. Grand Theft Auto. I love driving in Grand Theft Auto. I can't say I drive well or fast, but I like the effects, if you know what I mean. Anyway, okay, so here's the moment that I turn to you guys, and I don't really have anything to talk about in this article at Autosport. But let's read the title, and then I turn to you guys, because this is where I do want your opinion, so get ready to speak up. But Formula One future rules to focus on 3 performance factors. And in this article at Autosport, they go on to talk about the 3 factors they're going to focus their energy on: tech, sporting regulations, etc. So what I say to you, we're all racing fans. We all watch religiously, and I dare say with a more educated eye than the general public, because we know it firsthand from being sim racing people. But what do you think would be the big factors that Formula One should be looking at? How should Formula One change, in your opinion, to continue, or not continue to grow, to switch back to growth instead of shrinkage? What do you think is missing from 2001? And if you were given the keys to the castle and you could come in and change Formula One for the season, what do you think would make the big changes? They've made a lot of changes over the last few years. Weight ballast. William, when you say weight ballast, do you mean to even the cars, like a performance adjuster? Or do you mean in terms of them adjusting the weight balance on the fly kind of thing? Fan boost, Greg Ortner says. That's an interesting concept. And not. He comes back with not just as quick. Tom Jones, Umbrella Girls. I believe Umbrella Girls are still in. I think they retracted that and they're still in. Engine sound. I agree. Think of that Schumacher Ferrari and the days of those sounds. Think of the sounds from the 60s or 70s and how much... I remember when I used to pull up to the track to go to like an IndyCar race, and you'd hear the cars in the distance from miles away. And even that aspect has changed, and that draws you in. And Tom, when you say speed, what do you mean? Faster? Slower? What do you mean? The halo, so safety. John Hill, back to innovation. So we talked about Dan Gurney passing and the way he was an innovator, and to an extent, Formula One has really squashed innovation. And you could say for financial reasons they've done it, I'm sure, to control costs, but they still allow a large enough money to be at stake that you have the haves and have-nots, even when it comes to innovation. Restarts, Travis says. So you get a grid-ending start. Is that what you mean? And their cars are too similar now. The rules are too restrictive. I completely agree with you. Screaming V8s. Agreed. The halo on a safety level, absolutely it is important. You know, we don't want our heroes unnecessarily getting injured or passing. CM Skinner, I agree with you on expensive to race, but that's not going to change in Formula One with the amount of money at stake. But on a whole, and you could argue whatever the highest level of racing costs is pulling even the low ranks up with it to an extent. Harder tracks. Palem, I love that. It seems that in the certain worlds, like I think golf is guilty of this too. You get certain designers that go to fame, so then everyone hires the same designer. 10 golf courses in a row, 10 tracks in a row, and then all of a sudden you get this blah to it. You know, the cookie cutter tracks, they were called in NASCAR, were a great track when it was 1 or 2. When it came 15 of them on the schedule, it got a little boring. I think innovation in terms, I agree. Different types, varieties of tracks. You know, some of these tracks need to make drastic changes through the years, maybe. I mean, iconic tracks shouldn't, but maybe newer tracks should. But it would be great to see that. Better drivers. So, TGR, is Hamilton that great? Or has he always managed to be on the best team? And I think that's where part of his greatness is the ability to jump teams right when the getting's good. V10 engines from 2004, says Tarmus. More power, less aero. Now, Wilk, if they had less aero, do I need more power? What if we just changed it and made it a more raw, same power, and then reduced the aero? I think that would make me very happy. Remove artificial overtaking, DRS. I agree with you, David. I think racing should be straight up, and it should be your ability. Randy agrees with that as well. No DRS, another. I agree. The DRS is just, to me, stupid. It takes away from the driver's ability to be a driver. I think to an extent that the onboard engineering and telemetry, and Mitchie will kill me for saying such a thing, but I think it has become such an engineering battle on top of the drivers that I think the driver is so often removed from the equation. They treat the driver in some respects like he's just another part of the car. So I think that would be good. Salary cap. Falcon, I think that's fair and relevant in terms of bringing the cost down, but with the amount of money that everybody's making, why shouldn't the drivers who put their lives on the line get a good piece of that action? And if the fans are willing to, and if they're complaining about shrinking or being smaller, well, maybe they need to reduce the prices of everything. Maybe it needs to be not pay as much. Maybe they're not allowed to do the same type of super tech, but they can still get back to innovation. Maybe the drivers don't get paid as much because the series isn't going to charge or make as much or pay out as much. They could lower everything, and that could come all the way down to us. George Wiseman says, less downforce, less aero, bigger engines, more mechanical grip. There you go. That's what it used to be about. That's what Formula One used to mean to me. Liability climate innovation. Let the slower teams test twice as much. They need to do something to bring the back of the grid closer to the front of the grid. Because right now, it isn't just the driver, but it is the amount of money being thrown at it that is a big, huge thing. I personally would get rid of the entire hybrid system in Formula One. You know what? Let another series go on that tech. Formula One, you continue to find us other versions of tech, but let the hybrid stuff go somewhere else. Dan. I don't even want to repeat what you can't say with a straight face. I am way far back on you guys. I gotta speed up here. Wow, great thoughts, you guys. Great opinions on this. I want to thank Fabio Martin for actually bringing this topic to my attention, and to really interact with you guys in it. So, anyway, as you can see, there is room for growth at even the Formula One level. And, yeah, cheaper engines, Sky. I agree with you there. There are a lot of things. Better interaction with fans, TGR. If I think back, when was racing across the board in its heyday? When racing was at its peak of climbing, it was when the fans had a much more involved role. A pit pass would actually have you walking around in the pits. Nowadays, a pit pass gets you in the area near the pits. Being able to get the autographs from the drivers by walking by in the paddock, not by waiting in some 5-hour line. Getting to meet the crew members and talk to them. Getting to smell the environment. And now we're so far removed, we almost barely get the sights and sounds and smells like we used to. So I think that intimacy, because if you ever go on a Friday night to an Irwindale or any short track or any lower rank racing, it is such a different environment. I mean, you go to Laguna Seca for most of the events other than the AMA event, and you walk around and talk to the drivers. So it's so much easier, especially if you're a father and you're taking your child to the race. That ability for them to shake the hand of the driver, this god, this warrior, and look at that car up close and see how big and massive and impressive it is. That's going to make a kid love racing and love cars for life. So, Anyway, great thoughts, great opinions, you guys, and that's exactly why this show is so cool, because we can talk about things just like this, and, you know, maybe F1 should bring the pit crew over there for a day to give them some suggestions, give us a chalkboard, and we'll write down what they're doing wrong, and maybe they'll take our suggestions and turn that ship around, and I don't even mean to take Formula 1 and single it out, because we could have the same exact conversation about IndyCar. We could have the same exact conversation about NASCAR. You know, just about every highest tier in racing is running into these kind of problems where they, like Formula 1, need to focus on some of their performance factors, some factors to bring people back into the stands, to get that TV viewership climbing, and so on and so on. So that really does do it for the regular sim racing news. So, one thing I have been talking about, and I just want to mention one more time, is that at the Simpit, I've been doing a lot of work, keeping it up to date as possible. So many videos come out, it's hard to. But, here's today's article. I have the right image here today, Mikhail. And if you click on that, you will see. And today I put in the extra work, and it took me a long time. So you guys tell me if you really need this or not. Or tell me if website optimization, this is better. But yesterday's show, I just put the links, and you had to cut and paste them. So that's sort of a pain in the butt for you guys. Today, I did take the time to hyperlink them, so you can just click on any of them, and it will take you to the article if you want to read about what we are talking about today on the show. Took me a lot of extra work, so you let me know. Give me a pat on the back if it made your day. If it's insignificant, I don't know if I can do that every single day. But if you want to see anything that we had there. Beyond that, yesterday we had some fun with the patron group. And as I said, with the patron group, I was never going to take anything away from the real show. And unboxing videos, I do them sometimes, but not always. It depends on the product. It depends on whether the people would know what I'm doing and everything. Anyway, I got a box yesterday, and so yesterday the patron group and I actually did do an unboxing. So that was the mystery box every day. And for those of you who didn't get to watch those shows, I will have testing shows coming out as soon as tonight. So I'm working on getting those pedals into my... Oh! I let the cat out of the box! So that is what was inside those. Wave Italy. These are some of the most high-end, amazing pedals I've ever used. And my big teaser was that I have felt them but not seen them. And that's because they were in a Formula 1 cockpit. So I literally couldn't see them, but I did use them. And they were badass. So yesterday I did the unboxing and the assembly video. I am going to, as soon as I go off the air, I'm going to be installing them. I'm not going to be airing that show because Mitchie Hoyer is actually going to be streaming a iRacing Formula Renault race on his channel, which is in the link of the description here. So at about 10:15, he's going to be doing that. So I'm going to stay off the air till he's done with that. I'm going to then focus on getting those in, and then this evening, I'm planning on doing some testing and shakedown. I'll have cameras on. I'm going to do that live for everybody. So that'll be coming up this evening. I usually target about 6 o'clock p.m. for that. We also, today, after Mitchie's stream, we might have the Raceroom Road America coming up as well. So we have a lot of really cool stuff going on, and just want to let you know about that. And then beyond that, last thing I'm going to say before I do shut down the show for the day is this is the Alfa Romeo 155 Ti V6. This is one of those DTM cars in Assetto Corsa, and there are three. There's this, the Mercedes, and the BMW M3, M30. And those are the cars we're going to be running next season in the Sim Racing system, which is still 3 weeks away. So I'm a little ahead of myself here, but that is the base of the car that I'm going to be running. Thank you, Stan, for painting that up. That paint is drying, awaiting its stickers. But we are running those 3 DTM cars together. We're going to have 3 different cars running in the same class, which is going to be a totally new twist. And we're going to run it. This I did a few things on purpose this season. Number one, all the content is Assetto Corsa content. So there's no outside content at all, which should help us not have any track issues. I wanted to keep it simple. So we're running Mugello, Laguna, Red Bull Ring, Nürburgring, Catalunya, and Vallelunga, which a lot of those tracks I've been dying to get to because we haven't been running them. So we have a nice selection of tracks that we haven't been running on, a great grouping of cars that I think is going to suit everybody and make for some great racing. Really looking forward to that coming up in 3 weeks. So, Dennis, thank you. Anyway, that is going to do it for today's show. I've covered all my notes, covered all my stories. Be sure to tune in at 10:15-ish at Mitchie's channel. Check him out in iRacing and the Formula Renault. Should be very exciting, and definitely learn something from him because the guy can drive the wheels off of anything. So that's going to do it for this show. I was going to say for today. That's not it for today, but that's going to do it for this show. This is the Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.